Hi students, this is Mrs. Johnston, and today what we are going to do is start something pretty special. We are going to start the seeds for our giant pumpkins for the pumpkin show. So these are seeds that are from 2013 and from 2012, but they've been kept in a dry area, and so hopefully they will still germinate. Now here's what's interesting about these pumpkin seeds. The seed packet tells you a little bit about the plant that the seed came from. So if you look at this packet, it says 369.5 McConnell 2013. All right. And then it says F486 Liggett 2012 M open. So what this is basically doing is giving you the pedigree for this particular pumpkin seed. So it tells you that it was taken out of a pumpkin that weighed 369.5 pounds. And the McConnell was the name of the person who showed the pumpkin. Now that pumpkin came from a female pumpkin plant that was 486 Liggett. Now, if you're from around here in Circleville and Chillicothe and Ross County area, you recognize that name. That's Dr. Bob Liggett. That was his pumpkin. The male plant was open, so they don't know which male flower or which male plant had the flower that produced the pollen, but they do know that the female plant was 486 Liggett 2012. Now, over here on this one, okay, this was from a much bigger pumpkin. This one was a 1,277 pound pumpkin, Folk 2012. And you can see the information about the male and the female plants that went into that one. So you can see that the male plant was also a Folk, and then, the female plant was a Folk, and then the male plant was from a plant that was 1,807.5 pounds. And it was from Stelz 2011. So that one has a lot more potential to be a very, very big pumpkin. Because look at the numbers of the sizes of those pumpkins. 1,277, 1,220, 1,807.5. So hopefully these will germinate, and hopefully we will be able to actually grow some giant pumpkins again this year for the pumpkin show. So what do you need to do to start a pumpkin seed? Well, there's a couple of steps. The first step to starting your pumpkin seed is to getting your materials. So you're going to need some peroxide. This is much different than starting like tomatoes or peppers, because what the peroxide is going to do is it's going to actually like erode the outside of the pumpkin seed a little bit. You can see how big these are. They're massive seeds, and they're very strong and very tough. So we have to soften them up by sanding the edges a little bit, soaking them in peroxide for 30 minutes, and then soaking them in water for 3 to 6 hours. Once we're done doing that, we're going to put them in these fiber pots that have been moistened down with water. And we're going to fill these up with potting soil that is just wet enough that we can squeeze and get like 1 drop of water out of it. So if I squeeze this really hard, I can get like 1 drop of water to come out of it. So this is what we're going to actually put the seeds in when it's time to get them to germinate. Now, another thing that pumpkin seeds need in order to germinate is they need warm temperatures. So when you are trying to get your pumpkin seed to germinate, you want to start the seeds inside in a warm area, someplace where they're going to have constant temperatures around 88 degrees. Now, in our house, we could put them in front of a south-facing window where they would get some sun, but you can see today it's kind of gray and cloudy outside. There's not a lot of sun. They still wouldn't be very warm. So I have a heating mat out in my car, and as we go through the video, I'll show you that heating mat, and that's what we're actually going to plug in and put the seed pots on top of to keep them at that constantly warm 88-degree temperature to encourage them to germinate. All right, so the first thing we have to do to our seed is we have to sand off the edges a little bit, just a little bit. Now you don't want to like sand it so much that you damage the seed. So what we're going to do is we're going to take off about 1/16 of an inch with an emery board. And this is just what you'd use to sand your fingernails with or to file down your fingernails with. We don't want to sand this part of the seed because that is the part the root is going to emerge from. So you stay away from this delicate part down here at the end. We're just going to sand the edges, just like you're sanding your fingernail.
You don't want to get too deep or you might damage your skin.
You might damage the seed. Now, you might think, well, now, how in the world do pumpkin seeds sprout if you don't help them along by doing these steps? Like, how do they reproduce naturally? How do they sprout naturally? Some of them would, But this is just to help increase the germination rate. This is just to kind of help that seed sprout. Okay, because the outer coating of these seeds is so thick and so tough that it just helps the seed a little bit if you sand them off. All right, so you can see I've got a little bit of the powder from the seed on my fingers. So there is seed number 1. And we're going to go ahead and drop that one into peroxide. And they're going to soak in the peroxide for about 30 minutes. So right now it's 2:15. We're going to take that seed out at 2:45. And here's the next one. So again, we're going around the edges and just gently sanding about 1/16 of an inch, not very much at all, off of the seed. Just softening that seed coat to help that new plant inside emerge. So again, you're not taking too much off, just a little bit. All right, and now you can put that one in the peroxide. Now you might see we've got 2 different colored bowls, and that's to keep the seeds straight. So I want to know which one is which when I plant them. If I put them all in the same bowl, they're going to get mixed up, and I'm not going to know the difference between the Folk seeds and the McConnell seeds. So what we're going to do is go ahead and get the McConnell seeds sanded off. And if you're wondering how I got these seeds by purchasing them at the pumpkin show from the Circleville Giant Pumpkin Growers Club. They sell packets of seeds for $5 as a fundraiser. So these seeds were purchased, I want to say at the pumpkin show 2017, maybe 2017, 2018. It's a couple years ago. So we'll see. Hopefully they'll sprout. If they don't, there is a really cool contest that the local Pumpkin Growers Club does every spring. It's called the Charlie Brown and the Snoopy contest, where they will start seedlings for you. And if you're a first-time pumpkin grower, you can pick up the seedlings and you can start your pumpkins at your house from seedlings. You don't have to start them from seeds. And the Pumpkin Growers Club will help you to do this. And then when you go and enter your pumpkin at the pumpkin show, they will award you prizes based on your competition versus other first-time pumpkin growers. So last year, my daughter Aubrey and our FFA chapter, the Zane Trace FFA chapter, we each entered pumpkins in the Pumpkin Show First Time Pumpkin Growers Contest, which is the Charlie Brown contest, and got 2nd place and 3rd place respectively. So it's a really cool thing to do, and you don't have to have a ton of space to grow a pumpkin. There have been people who have grown beautiful pumpkins for the pumpkin show in town, like in their backyards in town. So it's not like you have to have a huge big yard to do this. All right, so our seeds are all soaking. We're going to take the first batch out at 2:45, and we're going to take the second batch out at 2:48. So we'll check back with you in a little bit.